And I'm going to go ahead and thank you everyone for joining us this evening. I'm going to go ahead and get started. So I want to welcome everyone to the 2024 JCI Michigan Meet the Candidates event. My name is Sarah Austin, and I was privileged to serve as the 96th president of JCI Michigan in 2020. And I'm honored to be serving as the 2024 JCI Michigan Elections Committee, and will be serving as your MC this evening. Tonight, we will be hearing from 3 Michigan JCs who are excited to be taking the next step in their JC journey by running for district or state office. We also will have the unique opportunity this evening to hear from some candidates for JCI USA national office. First, to kick things off, would you please join me in welcoming our 100th state president, Michelle McGran, for her welcoming message.
Awesome. Thank you, Sarah, and thanks to each and every one of you who is joining us this evening or may be watching the recording of the Meet the Candidates event. This event is one of my favorites throughout the year. As many of you are aware, our theme this year is local growth, global opportunity. And that's really, that growth piece is not necessarily about a membership growth. It's about that individual development and that growth for you as a person. One of the best ways to do that, one of the best opportunities that you have in this organization, is taking that next step into a leadership role. So congratulations to each and every candidate who is joining us to share their message of what they think that the future of this wonderful organization looks like. And congratulations in even, putting your name out there and investing in yourself. We're really, really proud of you. And regardless of, how the election turns out or anything, I know that this is only the first step in your journey, and we can't wait to see where you go from here. So thank you very much, and good luck to each and every one of you.
Thank you very much, President Michelle. And now let's get things started with our Meet the Candidates event. This is our opportunity to meet the candidates today, and it's a simple process. We will hear from the District A and District B director candidates first, then the candidate for the 101st president of JCI Michigan. For JCI Michigan, we do not currently have any certified candidates for District C director, diversity, equity, and inclusion director, programming vice president, or membership vice president. However, if you are interested in running for one of those roles, please reach out to the elections committee, because we still have a little bit of time left to get you certified before the ballots get finalized. After we're done with our JCI Michigan candidates, we will then be able to hear from our JCI USA candidates. We will have 3 candidates for JCI USA National Vice President, 2 candidates for JCI USA Deputy National President, and finally, we'll hear from the candidate for 105th National President of JCI USA. District Director candidates for JCI Michigan will have 3 minutes to speak. The JCI Michigan presidential candidate will receive 10 minutes to speak. We will then move on to the JCI USA candidates for national office. Starting with our national vice president candidates, we'll have 6 minutes to speak. Our deputy national president will have 10 minutes to speak, and we'll end with a 12-minute speech from our candidate for the 105th national president of JCI USA. Following the speeches for each position, there will be an opportunity for the candidates to answer both predetermined questions as well as questions from the membership. A few housekeeping notes. Please keep your microphone muted unless you're being called on to ask a question or you're one of our speakers. When we get to the question and answer sections, please use the raise hand feature in Zoom if you have a question, and I will call on you. Now, to start things off, our first candidate today to present their campaign bid for District A Director, we invite Ryan Watkins to the stage. I saw him on here. Oh, there you are, Ryan. You're muted, Ryan.
There we go. I think I'm unmuted now. All right.
Ryan,
hello.
I see you're driving, Ryan. Do you have the ability to pull over?
Yeah, I should be able to pull off up here, and then I can speak.
So what I'll do is I'll flip-flop, and I'll have DeMarcus, who's going to be our candidate for District B Director, speak first, and then we'll come back to you, because I don't want you speaking while you're driving.
All right. Sounds good.
All right. Thank you. So we'll switch things up, and we'll go ahead and switch to our District B candidate, who is DeMarcus Evans. Thank you, DeMarcus.
Good evening, everybody. I'm DeMarcus Sevens, the 89th chapter president of JCI Greater Muskegon. And I apologize in advance if I sound a little stuffy. I've been down with a cold for the past few days. But it took me a while to finally decide to throw my hat in the ring for the district director position. And I'm glad I finally decided to do it because when I first joined the JCs back in 2022, the first people that helped me really get out of my shell was the district directors, and seeing how the people who came before me in this position were so eager to support their chapters in their district and even some outside their district was one of the things that just truly inspired me to want to eventually do the same thing for other chapters. And I feel like I feel like that would be a way to help me myself grow as well as other members who were like me, kind of nervous about breaking out of their shells. Sorry, I didn't really have much of a speech prepared.
That's fine. I thank you very much, DeMarcus, for your speech, and we'll get to some questions and answers for you in just a few moments.
Thank you.
All right. And now, Ryan, if you've been able to pull over, we'll switch over to your speech.
Hello, I am Ryan Watkins, and I'm pulled over now, so I'm safe. So I'm Ryan Watkins, current president of the Clare JCs, and I'm running for District A director. Honestly, this is something I hadn't really thought of until recently. I was over at the Mount Pleasant Craft Beer Festival, and I was just kind of walking around doing photos, and Amanda and Corey are just kind of like, "Hey, we were talking about you." And I was like, "Oh, okay." And then they're just like, "Hey, why don't you run for District A director?" And I'm just like, "Oh, I'd never thought of that before." And then, but yeah, I talked with them, and I have a good relationship with several of our chapters in District A. I first got involved in the JCs by photographing the Mount Pleasant Craft Beer Festival, which is put on by the Mount Pleasant JCs, before I even realized what the JCs were. And then I'm good friends with the former president of the Saginaw JCs, and she was really the one who convinced me to join Clare, where I'm currently a member of. And I've been able to go to most of District A's signature events this year. So for me running for District A, I'd really want to try to encourage getting all of District A to do more stuff, to support each other as chapters, and to participate more at the state level as well.
All right. Great. Thank you very much, Ryan.
Mhm.
We do also have one additional candidate for District B director, and that's Raymond Russell Jr. from JCI South Kent. However, unfortunately, Ray was working this evening and is unable to join us. Thank you again to our district director candidates for your speeches. We will have some questions for you about your vision for your districts and your bid to join the JCI Michigan Board of Directors. We'll alternate who goes first in answering these questions, so please limit your answers to 1 minute or less. I'll start off by asking the first question, and then we'll open it up for audience questions. We'll start with DeMarcus answering first for the first question, and then Ryan will answer second, and then we'll alternate from there where Ryan, DeMarcus, and back and forth. So the first question, the district director is a liaison between the state board and chapters. How would you assess what our local members need and want, and how would you ensure that this information is shared with the board of directors and appropriate actions taken?
I feel like that starts with spending time with each of the individual chapters and getting to really know them. One thing I discovered is each chapter has its own personality, and each personality has its own needs. So I feel like by interacting with those chapters and those personalities, I can talk with the leaders of those chapters and figure out their needs, and meet with people, with the others on the state board, and figure out how we can better help them get those needs fulfilled.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you, DeMarcus. Ryan, the same question for you.
All right. I think that the first thing is having open conversations with people and seeing what these needs of the chapter are. And from being at a lot of these chapter signature events and just kind of knowing these people personally, it's like I think some of these things already have a bit of a feel for some of the chapters and what their needs are. And I think you're going to see a bit of a variance depending on the chapter and what some of those needs are. And but it all starts from building those relationships and having those open conversations with people.
Great. Thank you. And now we'll move to our audience question and answer session. Once again, if you have a question, please use the raise hand feature in Zoom and I will call on you. Do we have any questions? All right.
It's
Tyler. I was looking at the list and I was like, JCI Michigan, that doesn't cut it down for me. Tyler, what is your question for our candidates? And we'll start with Ryan answering first.
Hello. In your opinion, which is more important, recruitment or retainment, and why?
I think for me, I would focus on retainment. I think if we can keep members and keep people engaged more, I think that'll eventually lead to more recruitment as well. So I would put the emphasis on retainment, and also just kind of like helping build those relationships, not just in the local chapters, but also amongst the district and the state.
Great. Thank you, Ryan. DeMarcus?
I would also say retainment, because during my period as membership vice president for my chapter, one thing I found was it's a lot easier to obtain the numbers. The difficult parts comes in seeing what it's going to take to get those members to stick around after that first month or that first year. And after that first month or first year, that's when you get the people who are going to stay involved and stay active, and eventually might even possibly grow in the chapter or even Michigan or nationals. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you, DeMarcus. All right, the next question will come from Celeste Ross. Celeste, what's your question?
Hi there. I would love to know, as being the district director, you have to go to all of your district's main events and be assistants with those chapters, whatever they may need. So approximately how many events have you been to in the last calendar year, and how are you looking to improve those numbers?
All right, and we'll start with DeMarcus for this question.
In this last calendar year, not as many as I would have liked, because my own chapter, we have a lot of our own signature events that happen kind of close together, and also had a few personal reasons why I couldn't attend as many as I wanted to. But I do plan on attending more events, whether I get district director or not, because I do enjoy seeing the work that every single chapter puts in their events and how much pride they have when they get to have that sigh of relief at the end of it and say, job well done.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you, DeMarcus. And Ryan?
All right, so for this last year for District A, I was able to make it to the Ludington Freedom Festival. My own chapter, Claire, our Egg My Yard, the Mount Pleasant Craft Beer Festival, and Great Lakes Bay's Corn Fest. I did miss World Expo of Beer in Frankenmuth, though. For this upcoming year, I recently had a job change, and they're pretty good about allowing me time off for stuff as long as I'm working the other days of the week. So I think that scheduling wise, things should be look pretty good on my end for being able to make it to signature events for the chapters, at least in District A.
Thank you very much, Ryan. Do we have any other questions from the audience? If not, I'll go to one of our, oh, Celeste, do you have another question? Sorry. Go ahead.
Sorry,
Celeste.
I'm trying to put the hand down. Sorry about that.
No worries. I can lower your hand for you. I'll do that. Are there any other audience questions? All right, I'll go to one of our other pre-submitted questions. What value does a state officer present when visiting local organization, its events, and connecting with its members? And we'll start with Ryan this time.
I think that one of the things that the state should be representing is showing that we're here for the local chapter, that they're not on their own. Because I think that especially with District A, there's a lot of just physical distance between a lot of us, with Ludington being on one side of the state and Frankenmuth and Great Lakes Bay being all the way on the other. And I think that the state, I think that a lot of our presence as the district director should be showing that, hey, the state is here to help you, and these other chapters in your district are there to help you as well, especially for those signature events or just with figuring out how to handle various issues you're having at the local level.
All right. Thank you, Ryan. DeMarcus?
I think that as a state officer, I feel like when we attend local chapter events, we should be there as a person of support, and we should be there letting local chapters know that we're here for you, whether you need us to offer advice or even just volunteer or get our hands dirty. And also at the end of the day, just letting them know that just like them, we're also members of local chapters. And we're not just because we are sitting on the state board doesn't make us like high up on a pedestal. We're just people in it for positive change like them.
Thank you. All right, I'll do one more call. Any other questions from the audience? If not, I'll wrap up with our last pre-submitted question, which is, how do you plan to promote innovation in events at both the state and local levels? And we'll start with DeMarcus this time.
I think I plan on using my goal of creating inter-chapter relationships to drive innovation. Because one thing I did learn early on is that our greatest resources is each other. And I feel like that's one thing that JCI Michigan and its chapters could do with a lot more of. That's more chapters being there for each other, more chapters supporting each other, maybe even eventually collaborating with each other on certain events. Thank you.
Wonderful, thank you. Ryan?
Yeah, I'd echo a lot of what DeMarcus just said, and it all comes from those open conversations and building those relationships with the individuals and with the chapters. If you're just some random person who, shoots out an email to, every couple of months or so, it's like, hey, they're not going to be excited to do stuff with other chapters or do stuff with your chapter. But hey, if this is someone who's showing that, hey, they care, they want to help your chapter, they want to figure out ways that they can assist, I think that's going to really help boost that retainment and that motivation for the chapters to assist each other.
Thank you very much, Ryan. And Brandon, I see your hand has been raised. We can do one more audience question before we have to move on. So go ahead, Brandon.
Thank you. So my question is, it's easy to speak to like wanting to create that like collaboration and all that between districts, or between the chapters within those districts. I'm curious as to what would be kind of a plan of attack to do that.
All right, we'll start with Ryan answering first this time.
All right, I think one of the big ones is for each of the chapters, we have our signature events, and trying to get stuff out there early to get recruitment from other people to assist with those. Because I think that's an area where a lot of chapters, I think, are going to really need that help, is with those signature events. So I think really just trying to get people, which especially if they're nearby, like within 45 minutes or an hour from each other, really trying to get more laborers to help with those signature events.
Thank you, Ryan. Marcus?
My plan would be to start at home and figure out which of my members in my home chapter are more willing to go visit other chapters and help out with their signature events, and try to gather as many of those as I can and say, hey, let's go help Grand Rapids with their event, or let's say Allegan with an event. Then as we visit other chapters, we meet other people who are like-minded or also enthusiastic about interacting with other chapters and helping out. And I feel like once we get the ball rolling there, it'd be like a snowball effect and hopefully drive others to do the same. Thank you.
Thank you very much, DeMarcus. Well, thank you, Ryan and DeMarcus, for sharing your campaign strategy, your plans for next year, as well as answering our questions, both from the audience and the pre-submitted from other members. Next, we're going to move on to our presidential candidate's speech. That candidate speech will be 10 minutes. Since we're now moving into the a little bit longer speech periods, I will be doing a little bit of, if my camera works with me, okay, it's not going to. So never mind, forget I said anything about timekeeping. I will keep time. When you run over, I'll just let you know that you've run over, but we'll play it a little bit loose with the time notices, since my Zoom camera doesn't want to pick up my white piece of paper. So
quick question, is Sandy still introducing me?
yes.
Okay.
So next we will hear from our candidate for the 101st president of JCI Michigan. For the purposes of introducing our first candidate for president, please welcome to the Zoom stage Sandy Brinks. Go ahead, Sandy.
Thank you, everyone. Tonight, we gather to recognize, listen to, and for some, support candidates for JCI Michigan positions in 2025, who unwaveringly embody the essence of the Junior Chamber International's mission and core values: servant leadership, fellowship, and service to humanity. A candidate for the role of president of JCI Michigan should be a person who has consistently demonstrated commitment to community service, professional excellence, growth, JCI Michigan, and our chapters. With a track record that speaks volumes, Kaylee Gratz has spearheaded numerous projects that have had a profound impact on the community. She has dedicated countless hours to volunteering, mentoring, and leading various JCI projects. In the last 2 years, Kaylee has visited every active chapter in Michigan at least once and has visited chapters in other states and nations. Her passion for positive change and ability to connect with people from all walks of life makes Kaylee a true asset to our organization. As a member for 7 years, with 21 years prior experience as a junior JC, Kaylee has held every position on her local chapter's board of directors, as well as JCI Michigan positions, such as 2022 District 2 Director, 2023 Membership VP, and 2024 Programming VP. She has been the recipient of multiple awards for her efforts, including the Sandra Likas Memorial Award and Betty Sexton Honorary Award for her work as District Director and Membership VP. Under her leadership, JCI Michigan will undoubtedly continue to expand its reach. She has a clear vision for the future, one that includes enhancing member engagement, fostering leadership development, and strengthening our impact on society. It is with great pride and confidence that I introduce to you the candidate who will lead JCI Michigan into a brighter, more dynamic future, where we spark a legacy. Please join me in welcoming Kaylee Gratz, candidate for the 101st President of JCI Michigan.
This is a monumental year for JCI Michigan, the 100th year. 100 years of leadership, 100 years of positive change, and 100 years of service to humanity. As we started off this year, we learned about the rich history of the past century. It was a unique moment in showing our current members the scope of the impact we once had. It should come as no surprise to anyone who has ever interacted with me that context and input are my top 2 strengths. I love to understand the history of something and gather as much information and resources as available. I travel around the state, visiting chapters and members, and I often find myself answering questions about JC history. And one of the overwhelming frustrations I've heard from chapters time and time again is that we are facing a lack of institutional knowledge, which is no surprise. In the beginning of the year, I did a quick membership audit. Over 65% of our members have been members for 3 years or less. Most of our members were not members in the before times, the pre-COVID. I was the chapter president during COVID. It flat out sucked. I'm going to be honest, it was awful. But one of the things that was a light for that year was how we, JCI Michigan, adapted. We showed incredible strength in adapting our statewide programming, and many chapters across the state implemented new ways to connect. However, I fear that in being forced to adapt and relearning as things in our world improved, we lost much of what we had that worked. Yes, some of the things that we did away with, we did rightfully so, but some of what we lost could still be greatly beneficial to the organization. As I've served on the state board for the past few years, I've noticed a bit of struggle even amongst the state board members with understanding JC processes and a lack of cohesion. Often we must rely on asking aged out members for advice or knowledge. While there's no problem with that, it is not sustainable in the overall goal of this being a young person's organization. My number 1 goal as president is to bring back a unified manual for anything a member could possibly want to know about the JCs. This was lost in the shuffle with COVID and Glue Up and all the changes that we've had recently. Bringing back the book, as it was called, will at least take away the frustration caused by lack of institutional knowledge. It will put the power of running this organization back into the hands of the members and increase sustainability for this organization overall as time progresses and the members who were around during the before times start to age out. Additionally, it will further provide greater equity for our members as it will be made available to each and every member on the JCI Michigan document library. No longer does it become a question of what chapter you are from if you are a new member or a veteran member on whether or not you have this information available. Everyone will have the same info and the same opportunities. Not only did the book contain info on our organizational structure, but it also provided lists of ideas that chapters could use for recruitment practices, fundraising, example sponsorship letters, etc. It was a tool to be utilized by the chapters. By bringing it back, our chapters won't have to focus so much time and energy on trying to reinvent the wheel and can focus on putting the wheel into use. Another goal of mine as president is to bring back some statewide programming that will bring us back into the public view as a state organization. Programs like Outstanding Young Michigander, where we work with the Chamber of Commerce, local chapters, etc., to receive nominations for a Michigan version of the 10 Outstanding Young Americans. I've already begun some of the legwork for OYM as programming VP this year. Another former program that we used to do that could potentially be brought back is model legislature at the state capitol. Programs like these would open us up to new partnerships and collaboration with much more visible entities as a state and increase public awareness of JCI Michigan overall. With having more opportunities to promote JCI Michigan throughout the state and having these resources in the hands of every member, I hope that we can reverse the dropping membership trend. In 2000, we had 4,700 members across nearly 100 chapters. In 2017, when I joined, we had just over 1,000 members across 34 chapters. Today, I just looked in Glue Up, we have 368 members across 19 chapters. Last year, for the first time in years, we saw growth. We have the forward momentum on our side. We just need to keep it moving. We need to provide the necessary tools and opportunities to effectively recruit and onboard new members and retain them with that information. Staying in tune with my JC history buff personality, my theme this year is Spark Your Legacy. Before we had Passport to Leadership, the 10 Degrees program, JCs used to have the Spoke Award for Outstanding New Member and the Spark Plug Award for Outstanding Veteran Members. In an internal combustion engine, spark plugs work together to emit a bolt of electricity, which ignites the fuel and air mixture, which then causes the explosion that makes the engine run. It is a perfect metaphor for how JCs join together to create impactful change. And that change leads to legacy. The definition of legacy is the long-lasting impact of a particular events or actions that took place in the past or of a person's life, or the positive change we create as JCs. Another use of the word legacy is in terms of generational. I am a legacy member, for example. My parents joined the JCs when I was 2 years old, and we're both extremely active. 2 chapters were charted in my living room. My earliest memory is of a JC project when I was 3. I have very vivid memories of being 7 years old, playing JC meeting with my Beanie Babies. I was a junior judge on the statewide judging team for the haunted houses. Because of growing up in the JCs, I got to speak about an issue that I noticed in my community at a city council meeting when I was only 10 years old. When people ask me why I love the JCs, it's because without the JCs, I would not be the person I am today. Most of my great memories from childhood are having fun at JC events, and that is something that has not changed as I've become an adult. We can all think of JCs we know who have kids who regularly attend projects with their parents. If those scary membership numbers keep on trend, many of the kids will not have a chance to become JCs. It is up to us to create positive change on our dropping membership numbers. It is up to us to remove the barrier surrounding institutional knowledge. It is up to us to put in the work to ensure JCI Michigan is not only sustainable, but thriving, so that the junior JCs of today have the JCs in the future to turn to. What's more, I want the JC kids today to go to a conference in the future and be able to say, wow, look at how far we've come since I was a kid. This is the dream legacy I want us to leave. JCI Michigan, can you join me in sparking our legacy? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Kaylee. We'll now move to our question and answer section of the state president candidates. We'll start out with one of the pre-submitted questions, and then we will once again go to audience questions. Please remember to use the raise hand feature, and I will call on you based on the order in which the hands were raised. So we'll start out with our pre-submitted question, one of our pre-submitted questions. With no major established fundraiser currently in place, what ideas do you have to generate revenue for JCI Michigan?
I want to see us continue. I know currently working on a sponsorship packet And I want to see that continue with partnerships, especially if we get Outstanding Young Michigander and Model Edge type programming in place, get some sponsorships from organizations or companies and everything to that we'd be like also recognizing their members or something, their employees who have as Outstanding Young Michiganders, get some sort of partnership collaboration in that sense, to further see statewide funding through. That is going to be I think the path of least resistance in getting statewide funding would be to go through sponsorships and partnerships. Otherwise, we can explore options of boots on the ground work of doing fundraisers amongst our members specifically for statewide. But I also, ideally, we want to focus on that sponsorship partnership level rather than having members do the hard work of fundraising, because they need to focus on that for their own chapters.
Absolutely. Thank you. All right, our first question will come from past president number 99, Karina Townsend.
Hi, everyone. My question, Kaylee, is I think everyone on this call knows that you can do it all. And that's a great skill to have. Unfortunately, being state president means you don't do it all. You have to delegate, you have to work with your team. So how do you plan to empower your team to do all of these items that you are inspired and excited to do next year?
I'm gonna try to do it all, but definitely won't be able to. And over my years of being the I can do it all person, I have learned very hard lessons about the importance of delegation. And I think overall how to inspire my team to take on these insane big ideas that is just like reminding them the heart of the matter. Like, I constantly tell people, I was like, dude, just go out to another chapter and see the work that you're doing for, like, when a state member goes to another chapter and visits, like, see how much that impacts the individual chapter. So let's kind of keep that in mind as we're doing state board visits to local chapters, but also like kind of keep that in mind, like the have the end goal in sight of what we're doing and keep that passion alive. And also don't be afraid to reach out if I've asked somebody to help me out on this and don't be afraid to reach out to somebody else to ask for help. Like, this comes from a big collaborative effort, kind of like that spark plug thing. An engine doesn't just operate on one spark plug. You need multiple spark plugs to make the ignition happen. So that is kind of part of the whole theme. So.
All right. Thank you, Kaylee. Our next question will come from Kimmy Black.
So I'm sure you know how important following through is with all of the different pieces of our organization. How will you hold others accountable for following through?
Well, offer gentle reminders, like, so kind of checking in, having check-ins, just not even, hey, have you done this yet? But do you need help with anything? Do you need support? Do you need another person on the committee? Do you need what can we do? And kind of like, how are you doing with all of this? Maybe somebody might have a life event happen outside of the JCs that makes it harder for them to follow through on the thing that they did in the JCs. So it goes back to like the teamwork and motivation and just collaborating amongst the team of, okay, I'm struggling with this. I need some assistance, and then finding somebody to fill in that gap. That's the main thing. I don't want to make people definitely don't want people to feel bad if they can't follow through, but I want to make sure the task at hand is getting accomplished.
All right. Thank you very much. Our next question will come from Celeste Ross. Celeste?
Hi there, Kaylee. Quick question for you. You have done so much amazing work through your lifetime in the JCs. So I am curious to know what your plan is for straying from what we've done in the past and moving towards the future versus reverting back to kind of what we've always done. What's your plan for innovation for JCI Michigan?
So really, the plan for innovation is just it kind of falls back because in most of our memberships knowledge of what JC's has done, it really is like it's not the way it was done 20 years ago. So by bringing in some older concepts like the book and all this stuff, it really will provide the tools for chapters to be able to, and members to be able to like come up with new ideas. And also like I mentioned Outstanding Young Michigander and Model Ledge as two examples of things from the past that we can bring in, but I have ideas actually for other newer projects. I mean, they're similar to stuff that we've done in the past, but like another new innovative project that I have an idea for a statewide programming would be like getting like water testing kits, like having chapters set up, working with like the health department and get water testing kits, especially in the light of all the Flint stuff that's happened. So like just exploring the options after we get the tools in place so that once we know, like once we have an idea, we can know how to see it through is my main goal. But same kind of thing, like if there's an idea, we want to see it through, but we just need to make sure that we have all the ducks in row to be able to make that an effective idea.
Absolutely. Kaylee, are there any other questions from the audience? I don't see any hands, so I'm going to go to one last pre-submitted question. It's actually two questions I'm combining into one. So what do you see as the purpose and function of JCI Michigan board members at local chapter visitations? And what are your plans to create a foster environment and engagement throughout JCI Michigan, both the members and the board of directors?
So I see the role of the state board visiting chapters as you're showing up to help them with whatever that is. You're not showing up to tell them how to run the project. You're showing up to support them. If that's you're gonna take out trash after the event, if that's you're pouring beer, if it's shoveling all of Rosa Park Circle in a snowstorm, like I did when I was district director. You show up and you put in the work so the chapter has less to stress about. But then also kind of two-part, as state board members are there putting in the work with the chapters, also talk to the chapters and learn about what their struggles are and learn about where they're hitting a wall, or what they're succeeding at and what they want to share with other people, and then take that information back to the state board, and we can figure out how to, if it was a frustration that they have, we can figure out how to solve it. If it was something that they found really worked for them, we can share that information with everybody else. And then the second part, how do you keep inspiration and collaboration alive amongst members and chapters? Just keep encouraging the connection between members, chapters, add some fun into the state stuff. That's one of the biggest things is like people join the JCs because their friend told them to, or because they went to this fun event. And then you kind of get bogged down in, okay, I'm on the board. I've got 85 million things. I just spent 7 hours the other night working on the PMG for this project. We've got to get all the sponsors lined up, everything like that. You're getting stressed out, but we're losing the fun. We're losing the touch of just having fun. And so trying to like put the fun back into the state events, put the fun back into everything to just remind people of why they're here.
Absolutely. Well, thank you very much, Kaylee, for your sharing with us your plans for if you were elected as the 101st president of JCI Michigan, as well as answering the questions from the audience and pre-submitted. At this time, we are going to stop the recording. If you're watching the pre-recorded event and you would like to watch the recorded event for our JCI USA candidates, please go to the second recording of this event. But we're going to stop the recording and then restart it for our national